have always said that the vital is indispensable for the divine or spiritual action. Without it, there can be no complete expression, no realization in life, hardly even any realization in sadhana. When I speak of the vital mixture or of the obstructions, revolts, etc., of the vital, it is the unregenerated outer vital, full of desire and ego, and the lower passions of which I speak. I could only say the same against the mind and the physical when they obstruct or oppose. But precisely because the vital is so powerful and indispensable, its obstruction, opposition, or refusal of cooperation is most strikingly effective, and its wrong mixtures are more dangerous to the sadhana. That is why I have always insisted on the dangers of the unregenerated vital and the necessity of mastery and purification there. It is not because I hold, like the sannyasis, the vital in its life power to be a thing to be condemned and rejected in its very nature. Affection, love, tenderness are in their nature psychic. The vital has them because the psychic is trying to express itself through the vital. It is through the emotional being that the psychic most easily expresses, for it stands just behind it in the heart center. But it wants these things to be pure. Not that it rejects the outward expression through the vital and the physical, but as the psychic being is the form of the soul, it naturally feels the attraction of soul to soul, the union of soul with soul, as the things that are to it most abiding and concrete. Mind, vital, body are means of expression and very precious means of expression. But the inner life is for the soul the first thing, the deepest reality, and these have to be subordinated to it and conditioned by it, its expression, its instruments, and channel. I do not think that in my emphasis on the inner things, on the psychic and spiritual, I am saying anything new, strange, or unintelligible. These things have always been stressed from the beginning, and the more the human being is evolved, the more they take on importance. I do not see how yoga can be possible without this premier stress on the inner life, on the soul, and the spirit. The emphasis on the mastery of the vital, its subordination and subjection to the spiritual and the psychic, is also nothing new, strange, or exorbitant. It has been insisted on always for any kind of spiritual life. Even the yogas, which seek most to use the vital, like certain forms of Vaishnavism, yet insist on the purification and the total offering of it to the divine. All realization of the divine is an inner realization. Only here the soul offers itself through the emotional being. The soul or the psychic being is not something unheard of or incomprehensible.